I'm here not to talk about Israel, which is my home country. I'm here to talk about Brazil. I have 30 minutes to go on a journey with you into a place where exponential leaders and entrepreneurs are using technology and a mysterious force called purpose in order to change the countries and the world. And together in this journey, we need to see if we can find those forces inside us as innovators, as change makers, as entrepreneurs, in order to change this country. So, our journey starts in a very, very strange ad that appears on 1914 in the London Gazette newspaper. It's one of the strangest and most powerful pitch for a startup that was done in human history. And in this, I'll just read it aloud. Men wanted for a dangerous journey, small wages, bitter cold, long month of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return doubtful, honor and recognition in event of success. It's a recruiting ad for a new startup. Who in the audience will go as a candidate for this recruiting ad? Well, not a lot of us, huh? I'm not sure about myself also. The person behind this pitch is Ernst Shackleton. Ernst Shackleton was a 40-year-old British-Irish person, an explorer of the South Pole that was already in one of the great voyages of discovery of Antarctica. And he was renowned for being an entrepreneur, creating great ventures with not a lot of money, on the last moment, and with amazing people joining him for crazy missions around the world. So Ernst Shackleton decided in 1914 to take a new trip to Antarctica. Antarctica was already discovered several years before, but this mission was different. This venture, this startup was different. The cause, the objective of this startup was to cross the South Pole. So the borderline was well known, but no one crossed the continent itself. So Shackleton put this ad on the newspaper and received 5,000 candidates. 5,000 candidates for a suicide mission. How the hell did he do that? So, having 5,000 candidates, he had to decide who. He actually put it in three piles: the mad, the hopeless, and the possible potential for candidates. And from those potential candidates, he created a team. 27 adventurers, engineers, map makers, designers, architects, people who were willing to go on this venture. 27 brave people. Now, he had a team, he had a cause, he had a venture, he had himself as an entrepreneur. Now it was time to find the technologies that will take him there. He needed a platform. But for a platform, you need money. And no one really gave Shackleton enough money to do so. So after he tried several investors, he went to the government and took around 10,000 sterlings, which is not a lot, and built a crazy platform, the Endurance. The Endurance was one of the mightiest ships in that time. It was a platform exactly like a smartphone. It had the most advanced technologies. It had scientific machinery. It had 40 dogs to take them through the dark continent of Antarctica. So with Endurance, the platform, with a team, with enough money, well, let's say not enough, from the government, and with his own spirit, he took those 27 engineers, crazy guys, and went to Antarctica. Now, just to close the story very, very quickly, it was a difficult ride. The Endurance was an amazing ship, but very, very quickly it was locked in ice in a moment that really crushed the platform, and the platform stopped being of any use. The Endurance was stuck on ice. There was nothing to do. They tried to let it go, but they failed. So they went off onto a big piece of ice and stayed there for 7 months. So think about this, 27 crazy people, one entrepreneur, not a lot of money, platform crushed, not existent, and those guys are still with high moral. What the hell is happening there? I'm asking myself as a manager, as a leader, as an entrepreneur. How the hell is it doing it? Shackleton at a certain moment understood that it's going to be a disaster. He took 5 people, went on a boat, went 800 miles to the north, found a base, and after a total of 2 years, came back to save all of his 22 people left behind. Wow, that's a hell of a startup. This is the legacy of Shackleton and his people. A small team starting in a basement, building a great platform, and having a powerful thing, which I don't know what, pushing them through this hell of a ride. It's a legacy of a new world. We are still exploring the places discovered by Shackleton, trying to understand the sciences and the new materials found there, but actually it's an exponential legacy, because nowadays humanity is building micro labs on the path of Shackleton, trying to understand what agriculture needs does humanity need in order to live on Mars. So Shackleton legacy is a long legacy. It's already 100 years after Shackleton, and we are still exploring his legacy. Now, as an entrepreneur, and as a person that leads other people, I'm asking myself, how the hell did he do it? How did he do it with such a small amount of money, such an amazing platform that crashed midway very, very quickly, with an amazing team pushing forward? And since then, I was wandering around the world in different places looking for the Shackleton spark. The truth is that the journey started in this country and in another dark place, in the dark ghettos of Africa. In 2013, I was looking for Shackleton spark, and I arrived to South Africa, and then I discovered, looking for the spark, people that live in a totally different reality, building businesses in a different way, living their life in a different way, surviving in a different way, and exploiting this Shackleton spark in a totally different way than in the Western market. What you see now in the picture is a bank. It's actually a red hut in nowhere in Kenya, in the desert, and people just come by with their smartphones, if you can call it a smartphone, and they top up their phone with money, and then they can pay for everything. The entire continent is using mobile payments. We'll soon see who's behind it. Later on, I arrived to Brazil. You know those images, it's your country. In the favelas, in the northeast, I discovered entrepreneurs that are fighting for survival and inventing new ways to exploit reality. This couple generates 500 pieces of bathing suit a day using the 2 machines. Then they put it on the back, they walk, 10 miles. They get paid, and they hope they will not be robbed on the way back. So in this dark place, and in those people that are on the verge of humanity, I started thinking of an old Chinese game called Go. It's a very, very old game, strategical, 2 players. One uses white stones, one uses black stones. And there is a moment in the game of Go in which a stone reaches a situation called Atari. Atari is a situation in which the stone has one more move, and then it's off the board. And it's done. And I was wondering how many people in the world live in Atari, in a moment where they have no more options. They are living and working for the next 24 hours. They are doing everything for survival of the next week. Their next move is unknown, because the next move takes them off the board. How many people around the world live in Atari? 3 billion people are living on the edge of poverty or extreme poverty. That means $2 a day. Trying to invent new business models, invent new ventures, build new technologies, and strive for one more world. In order to understand what is an Atari and how can you influence it, and if your company or your venture is really treating a mass Atari, look at this model. This map enables you to quantify how big is a problem you are trying to solve. So in the middle, you see the pain. The bigger the pain, it means it's influencing and crippling more people on a daily basis. How many people are suffering from no computers or technology in Brazil? 40 million. How many people are suffering on a daily basis from poverty? 100 million. The blue circle is the magnitude. How big is this pain? How is it? We understood it's affecting and it's very painful, but how big it is? How many people are really suffering from it? Because if you're building a venture for 100,000 people, the magnitude is very, very small. If you are building a company for 5 million people, the magnitude is small. Atari deals with tens and hundreds of millions of people suffering from a powerful pain. And if there are no alternatives in between and no other ways of winning this Atari and surviving, then those people are in dire need of people like us. Because we hold the Shackleton spark, and we'll soon know how. So, in this very, very dark reality that is 3 billion people, half of the humanity, I was wondering if the Shackleton spark was lost forever. But exactly on those places, reality was bended by entrepreneurs seeking to influence millions of people. M-Pesa was changing entire Africa. Those guys, 4 entrepreneurs, got some money and built a mobile payment platform. In 10 years, they moved the entire continent from trading with stones and eggs to mobile payments. All of Africa, almost all of it, is using mobile payments. They don't have mobile phones like us, very simple phones, but you can find tribespeople actually wearing tribal dress with a herd of sheep going and buying with mobile phones. In Africa, near Kenya, 2 guys in a basement built a company called Umati. They understood that already 10 million farmers of macadamia nuts in the country are suffering every year. They're working very, very, very hard. They sell their macadamia nuts, but the money comes after 1 year at least. So they invented a platform to quantify and to understand the quality of one macadamia nut, and by that give a microcredit or a microloan to those farmers to enable them to survive until the money comes. Nova Lumos is an Israeli startup. 3 guys sitting in a basement built a small generator powered by solar power. And they enable villages in Africa that have no light after 5 o'clock to actually have light and have family life. How do those people pay for it? By the subscription of the mobile phones. Avante is a Brazilian company, I'm part of it, is providing prosperity for the underserved. How can you help 40 million micro-entrepreneurs, micro-businesses, to start using banking infrastructure, accept credit cards and receive credit loans in order to survive? By the smartphones, they all have smartphones. And most importantly, in my visit in Tibet, in the monasteries, far, far away from places of humanity, where the monks have a dire need to survive and to expand, they use mobile phones and the internet to sell spiritual lessons to the Westerners. The Westerners are buying redemption through the mobile phone, and this business is already running $5 million a month. So, the Shackleton spark exists somewhere, and it's actually existing not in the Western world, and not in the Western countries, actually where the Atari and the need is very, very strong, where the pain is powerful. But the patterns are always the same. A small group of people sitting in a basement, building a powerful platform, having a massive cause or objective to solve, and bring the most talented people to them. and usually one powerful leader to push them all. That was always a pattern in all the ventures I showed you, and in Shackleton's venture, also in Henry Ford's venture, also in the Wright brothers' venture. It's always the same pattern. So now, as an entrepreneur, how can I seize its pattern? How can I manipulate it for my needs? How can I shape reality and change my country, and for you to change your country? Because your country, if anyone changes it, will shape the future of your kids and their kids. Why, in the most important period of humanity, where we have deciphered the three main building blocks, what are the main building blocks? Matter, chemistry, DNA, and code. We have discovered all three building blocks, and our entrepreneurs are still building a pizza delivery app, or a next Tinder, or a WhatsApp. We have the building blocks. They are almost godly building blocks, and we are still building those shitty ventures. How come, when so many people are suffering and need our leadership, how come we are not taking advantage of those building blocks? In the search for meaning, it means that if we have the building blocks, we have the people, we have the talent, something is missing. One magical spark is missing, the Shackleton spark, and our objective is to find what is this spark. Because we have all the technology in our hands, code can manipulate most of reality. If it's a living being, we can manipulate the DNA. What are we missing? What is this spark? How did Shackleton move so many people into something so catastrophic? This spark is called purpose, proposito. Purpose is the main driving force of humanity, of our kind. Not the technology, not the code, not the DNA. Something is pushing us beyond to achieve greater things. Purpose is the galvanizing engine of any venture. It enables you to push 500 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 employees into something great because they fulfill themselves and they find their own selves in a greater good. Purpose is the fuel of a venture. It gives meaning to the everyday actions of each one of us, of employees, of suppliers, of investors, of partners. It connects people, simple deeds, like an Excel, like a PowerPoint, like a document, into something much greater than ourselves. If there is purpose, you can manipulate the entire reality around you because the people will follow. The people want to realize themselves within the purpose. And that's why you can change everything around you. This is the Shackleton spark that was used so many times in history, but we are losing it. The way Shackleton moved 5,000 people, 27 people to cross the land, go on a suicide mission with such a pitch, because this is a shitty pitch, we all understand, is by purpose. Purpose enables you as a leader, as a manager, as an entrepreneur, to go beyond these two currencies. How do entrepreneurs leverage talent today, or technology, or money? Or they use capital, money, or they use equity. They give shares of their company, correct? When you build a company driven by purpose, you have more currencies. I call them the epic currencies, or relics, treasures. Those relics unlock only if you use purpose to drive everything else in your venture. The three relics will move anyone. They will move 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people into things that seem impossible, like, for example, changing a country, shaping history. Passion is a powerful fuel. But self-fulfillment, the ability of people to realize the fullest potential within your venture, is one of the most powerful fuels you can use as leaders. But remember, it is unlocked only if you use the purpose. If you're about building cool stuff, great technologies, amazing code, you will never unlock those treasures. And the most powerful one is greater good. Because the way we realize ourselves, we self-fulfill, we reach our passion, is when we serve greater goods. Greater goods is beyond us, beyond the single person. A greater good is a country. A greater good is a nation. It's a society. The only way to reach those relics and to really empower the people is to fuse purpose into a venture. Now, purpose is a tricky element. The spark is very, very tricky to control because the bigger your purpose, the caliber, what you're trying to change, the bigger the challenge that stands in front of you, and the bigger the consequences that will happen if you will succeed, the more reality will activate a friction against you. Try to change your neighborhood, no problem. You'll do it in a week. Trying to change your state, you need some money, some people. Trying to change the country, you're screwed. Reality is going to fight back as much as it can in order not to be bent. Reality hates being changed. But luckily, the stronger the purpose, the more gravitational pull it has. The bigger the cause you will take, the better people you will attract, the more money you will attract, more people will join. Why do they join? Because of the relics. They must join. It's beyond them. They realize their own purpose when you choose a big one. This is how the 27 adventurers of Shackleton joined. They self-fulfilled the fullest potential, they had passion, and they served a greater good, discovering a new world for humanity. Now, a moment before I end my pitch, let's try to wrap it up together. We saw a powerful way of moving people to change reality. We found out that it exists not in the base of New York, but actually in the weak places where people are striving for survival, trying to grow, trying to prosper, but looking for leaders. And we understood that the power of purpose can move great companies into greatness. It's difficult to translate greatness to any language, also to Portuguese, also to Hebrew. Greatness is not big. Greatness is exalted beyond other things. And I want to leave you with a very simple, maybe revolutionized idea about how to use purpose and how to fuse it with technology. And the idea is that technology is only a vessel for purpose, only a container, only a box. You can build any app, any platform, any software, any car, any spaceship. What really moves it is purpose. The container will break. Every platform breaks. The container will fail. Every container, every company fails. It's part of the game. The endurance failed. It broke up, literally. Everything fails. It's just technology. But if there is a right purpose with the right caliber inside it, it will continue going after the platform breaks down. And your people will keep going after the platform breaks down. Why will they go? Because they have connected to the real purpose. They are serving a greater good. With this notion, I would like to wrap up and talk about our calling, the people in this room. Well, accidentally you have reached this room and hearing this speech. It can be an accident, can be cause and effect. But our role, and the average age here is around 30 plus, to build tomorrow's world. Not the present, not the past, of course, but tomorrow's world. Our call is about future. What is future? Anything that is not now. 2 minutes from now, 2 days from now, 2 weeks from now. This is our call. We have a generation stewardship to take care of those who will come. They will not have time to react, guys. They will not have time to react to what's happening to this planet. They will not have time to react to what's happening to society in this country. And they will not have time to react to the political or financial situations that we are creating for them. Meaning that we need to know how to fuse technology and purpose in order to shape tomorrow. This requires very, very, very brave people. Not talented people, not engineers, not designers, not financial people, brave people, entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship is not building great things. It's about leadership. And what we are looking for is exponential leaders. This is what humanity needs now. It has enough chatting applications. It has enough Tinder-like applications. It has enough pizza delivery apps. It has enough platforms, video games, everything. It doesn't have exponential leaders. It doesn't have exponential leaders that know how to take technology and fuse a powerful purpose that will move 1,000 employees, partners, and people to change the world or to change the country. The provocation and the call for you in this room is to understand that. First, technology is just a container, just a vessel. Second, what moves it is only purpose. You will fail for sure, but purpose will keep you running, you and your 1,000 people. And finally, the exponential leadership that is required from you is to shape tomorrow, not today. You have all the building blocks. Would you like to shape living creatures? Use DNA. Would you like to shape society? Use code. Would you like to shape the reality around you? Use matter. You have everything, but you need to find the purpose. It's a game of purpose, guys. And the people that are going to follow you are looking for purpose. And when you are following others, you are looking for purpose. Because this is the only way for us to self-fulfill and realize our fullest potential. We are looking for exponential leaders. And in your next venture, in your current venture, you need to seek them also. They are the only way for us to shape something that is livable and worthwhile for our children. Thank you very much.